First up, we got across to breaking news coming in. We are learning that the Bangladeshi Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Dhaka has sent a message to all missions abroad instructing them to facilitate visas for Pakistani citizens and those hailing from Pakistani origin. This comes as the interim government removed the requirement for Pakistani citizens to obtain a security clearance before applying for a visa to Bangladesh. That document that is on your screens right now, as Bangladesh is attempting to inch closer to Pakistan. This document of visa facilitation for Pakistani citizens or citizens of any country of Pakistani origin will now not require a visa to Bangladesh. The interim government has removed the requirement of Pakistani citizens to obtain any sort of security clearance before applying for a Bangladeshi visa. Let me cut across to my colleague Samisha, joining us from the newsroom with further details of this document as we continue to stay with that on our screen. Samisha, take us through the objective points in that letter and what is Bangladesh's larger intent of doing so?
Well, that's right, Suyesha. You know, this dossier that we've accessed, which has been signed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dhaka, which clearly mentions that there is going to be no hindrance when it comes to security clearance for the visas for Pakistanis who wish to travel to Bangladesh. In a way, it once again proves how Bangladesh is cozying up to Pakistan. And this, even as there is rise in atrocities against minorities in Bangladesh. Now, look at the parallel here, Suyesha. On one hand, we have the persecution of minorities in Bangladesh. Similar situation in Pakistan as well, where minorities are clearly not safe. This document that we've accessed, which has been signed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Dhaka, which clearly says there is going to be no hindrance when it comes to the visa clearance for the Pakistanis who wish to travel to Bangladesh. Further, this dossier also says that the missions are therefore requested to take kind note or necessary action in this regard, and that there should be no delay absolutely when it comes to implementation of this order. Further, the document says that this has been issued for the utmost consideration of the missions as well. The subject here mentions clearly that the visa facilitation for Pakistani citizens or citizens of any country of Pakistan origin. This, Suyesha, needless to say, comes in the backdrop of the assaults, the attacks taking place when it comes to minorities living in Bangladesh, be it not just the Hindus, but even the Buddhists who are at the receiving end of what is happening under Yunus administration. This particular direction once again highlights how the Yunus administration is trying to trying to develop its bonhomie with the Pakistan government by facilitating that visa process for the Pakistanis who wish to travel to Bangladesh. Suyesha.
This certainly will have larger ramifications, Samiksha. I want to thank you for getting us that document and, of course, details stated in it. This also means that Bangladesh is primarily looking at a reset with Pakistan after the exit of Sheikh Hasina. How the Yunus regime is really planning this on the larger scale, given the kind of atrocities that are already mounting against minorities in Bangladesh. So is the case in Pakistan, given the history between Bangladesh and Pakistan, and now how they are trying to change this whole thing, what this means for India. But certainly beginning with this, Samiksha, that Pakistanis will now not require any security clearance to enter into Bangladesh.
Well, absolutely, Suyesha, and also to add here, this reminds us of the liberation war in 1971 when India had assisted Bangladesh when it came to the atrocities of Pakistan. So yes, this dates back to 1971 as well, the liberation war in which India helped the Bangladeshi forces in fighting against Pakistan. Needless to say, this again has been forgotten by the Bangladesh government, how India has time and again come to the assistance of Bangladesh. This particular incident in which Bangladesh officials, the Yunus administration has made it amply clear that there is going to be no hindrance when it comes to the visa clearance for those Pakistanis who wish to travel to Bangladesh, Suyesha. In a way, we can call, people can call this, and the question is, can people even call Bangladesh an independent country, given that these instances once again highlight how there is clear rise in atrocities on one hand, and on the other hand, Bangladesh doing its best to develop and cozy up to Pakistan in wake of these directions coming in by the Bangladesh authorities.
All right, Samiksha, thank you for joining us. Let me cut across to Kritarth, also joining us from the newsroom. Kritarth, important for you to reflect on how this is a multifaceted approach that Bangladesh is now taking. At one end, allowing Pakistani citizens or anyone from Pakistani origin into their country without security clearance, establishing the first ever direct maritime contact and strengthening bilateral trade between the two countries. This is part of a larger design to what Bangladesh and Pakistan are now trying to do.
Indeed, Suesha, and on 5th of August 2024, when the coup in Bangladesh took place and the Mohammad Yunus government was installed, it was said that this government is going to bring in a lot of reforms. Well, what are these reforms that we are talking about since 5th of August? First, we saw the banned Jamaat-e-Islami being immediately unbanned and the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami being revoked and brought in. This is the same Jamaat-e-Islami which is known for its close ties with the Pakistan army in the 1971 war, which wholeheartedly aided the genocide of Bengalis and persecution of minorities in East Pakistan then, which subsequently was liberated as Bangladesh during Operation Searchlight. The numbers are horrifying and they still terrify every individual even after 53 years of Bangladesh's liberation. Over 2 million people made refugees overnight. Women in hundreds of thousands of numbers raped. Thousands of Bengalis displaced and killed in this genocide aided by the Pakistan army. And what are the promised reforms that Mohammad Yunus touted when he went to his US visit just 2 months ago? Now, relaxation of visa norms for Pakistani nationals and people of Pakistani origin from any other country. If this is not backsliding of Bangladesh towards what was erstwhile East Pakistan, then we do not know what else would be. As far as the reforms in Bangladesh were concerned, they are nowhere in sight. There is no question of when the elections will happen. But what we have seen in recent days is that the first few steps taken by the Mohammad Yunus government, even in the light of heightened tensions due to persecution of Hindu minorities and all other minorities in Bangladesh, is first meetings with terrorist organizations and leaders linked with terrorist organizations. Secondly, unbanning of Jamaat-e-Islami, which incidentally also the leadership of Jamaat-e-Islami had meetings with the Chinese government through an official state visit just earlier this week. And now a relaxation in visa norms for Pakistani nationals and people of Pakistani origin in Bangladesh. Has Bangladesh forgotten all safeguards and guardrails that it had put in place after the 1971 genocide in East Pakistan? People of Bangladesh need to remember what were the circumstances and conditions in which they were liberated from Pakistan's tyranny and the circumstances in which the rights of the same Bangladeshis were taken away by the Pakistani government's military-industrial complex. However, 53 years down the line, it is a shocking reform that the Yunus government has brought in just within 100 days of coming into power, a shocking relaxation of visa norms for Pakistanis in Bangladesh, something that nobody would have thought of. Suesha.
Kritarth, continue talking to us because this could really mean a whole new twist to the current geopolitical realities. Is Pakistan looking to reset ties with Bangladesh and vice versa? Are they looking to move on the past bitterness? Let's also quickly take our viewers through how Imran Khan had congratulated Sheikh Hasina when she had come back to power on the 50th Independence Day of Bangladesh. And while that was a lukewarm response, but certainly with the exit of Sheikh Hasina, the Yunus regime is looking to rewrite the board back again.
It is extremely terrifying as a thought to realize that if Bangladeshis are coming to any form of reconciliation with Pakistan, because the numbers are staggering and the history of Bangladesh is one that cannot be easily erased, and the blood on the hands of the Pakistani establishment cannot be wiped out as far as the atrocities that were committed in Bangladesh are concerned. This clearly is not a public sentiment, is what can be inferred upon, but this is coming from the top echelons of the Bangladeshi government. This is a clear message by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is under direct control of the chief advisor of Bangladesh, which is Mohammad Yunus, who has directed all council generals and all missions of Bangladesh to take into consideration the fact that Pakistani nationals and people of Pakistani origin need to have certain form of relaxation in terms of visa criteria is concerned in order to come and visit to Bangladesh. But for this instance, we plead to the Bangladeshi government to look back at history and the dramatic visuals that the 1971 war and the liberation effort that cannot be forgotten. People literally living in sewer pipes, Suesha, fully malnutritioned, a complete famine, over 2 million people displaced, 90% of them Hindus, a complete genocide, anywhere between, it is estimated, 2 lakh to 20 lakh women raped and murdered. More than 3 crore people throughout Bangladesh displaced due to Operation Searchlight, where the Pakistani military systematically carried on a state-sanctioned genocide. All because they did not want East Pakistan to have control over their own government because Mujibur Rahman won the election. These are facts that cannot be ignored. Just because Awami League is no longer popular in the public sentiment of Yunus's political agenda, that does not mean that the entire history of 1971 war becomes irrelevant to each Bangladeshi and the atrocities committed by Pakistan can be simply forgotten. Suesha.
Oh yes, absolutely, Kritarth. Let me go back to Samiksha, because this is extremely concerning for India, Samiksha, a move that could imperil India's security.
Well, absolutely, Suesha, and also important to highlight here, the parallel that is being drawn not just with Pakistan, but with Afghanistan as well, given that there is a Taliban-like diktat which has also been passed by the Yunus administration, which restrains women from visiting the markets. So that's the these are the kind of diktats being passed by the Yunus administration. On one hand, you have Pakistan that is working to better its ties with, be more close to Bangladesh. On the other hand, you have more and more countries, be it even US, the other Western nations, India, the South Asian country, all coming together, echoing just one sentiment that there needs to be an action that should be taken over the atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh, the minorities in Bangladesh. So on one side, you have Pakistan and Bangladesh joining hands again, Bangladesh turning into mini Pakistan, and on the other hand, you have these countries coming out and echoing one sentiment that there should be action that must be taken, and that freedom of human rights must not be curtailed by the Yunus administration.
All right, Samiksha and Kritarth, I want to thank you. At the moment, we wait and watch where this goes. We'll also try and get more geopolitical experts through the day to get their response on what this means for India